The desert was quiet under the soft morning sun. Long lines of sand stretched out in every direction, untouched except for the tracks of a small research truck. Inside the truck, Clark sat in the passenger seat with a map on his lap. He looked tired but focused. Beside him, Barnes drove carefully over the uneven ground. Her eyes stayed on the horizon, looking for anything unusual. For weeks, their team had been searching this remote part of Nevada. Strange signals had been detected from underground, signals that did not match anything human. At first, the government thought it was old military equipment buried long ago. But the signals were too complex, too rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat waiting to be found. When they reached a rocky area, asked to stop the truck, he stepped out and breathed the warm air. Laura Hill, Adam Carter, and Jason Brooks soon arrived in another truck behind them. They all gathered around a small device that beeped with slow, steady pulses. Knelt down to check it. The pulses were stronger here. He looked up at the team and said in a calm voice that something big was beneath them. The ground felt solid, but the machine insisted there was a hollow space deep below. Jason walked around the area, kicking small stones aside. He noticed a strange metallic shimmer under a pile of sand. He called the team over. Laura bent down and brushed away more sand. A smooth, silver surface appeared. It did not look like metal made by humans. It had a soft glow, like light trapped under glass. Adam tapped it with a tool, but there was no echo. It was thick and unmoving. They realized they had found the source of the signal. With renewed energy, the team spent the next hours clearing the sand. More of the mysterious structure appeared. They uncovered a large curved wall that stretched further than they could see. The shape looked unnatural in the desert, like a fallen moon half buried in the ground. Said quietly that it felt alive. Agreed. The glowing lines on the surface pulsed slowly, as if breathing. The team called their base and asked for heavy equipment. Soon, a larger dig crew arrived. Over the next few days, machines dug out the sand and rock, revealing what was clearly a huge alien ship. The hull was damaged and cracked. Parts of it were melted, and some sections looked torn open by great force. When the final layers of sand were removed, the full size of the ship amazed everyone. It stretched longer than a football field. Strange symbols ran along its sides. None of the writing looked familiar. The ship seemed ancient yet powerful, like something built for war long ago. Security teams arrived to guard the site. Scientists and engineers rushed in to study the wreck. The government ordered complete secrecy. No cameras, no public reports. Everything was now controlled. But Laura, Adam, and Jason were allowed to stay as the primary exploration team. They were the first to find it, and they were trusted to lead the study. On the first day inside the ship, entered through a large crack in the hull. The inside was dark and cold. Dust floated in the air. The walls were smooth and covered with faint glowing patterns. Followed him closely, scanning the walls with a handheld device. The inside of the ship felt like a maze. Corridors twisted in strange shapes. The rooms were large and empty. Laura said it looked like the crew had left in a hurry or were taken by surprise. As they explored deeper, they found a central chamber. In the middle stood a large crystal-like core that glowed with dim blue light. The energy readings were weak but steady. It meant the ship was not dead. Adam approached the core carefully. When he touched the console next to it, the glow brightened slightly. Everyone froze. The ship was reacting to him, quickly recorded the readings. She whispered that the ship still had power. Then something even stranger happened. A soft hum filled the chamber. The light spread through the walls, moving like liquid. The ship recognized the presence of humans. It was waking up. The team stepped back nervously, but nothing harmful happened. The hum slowly faded, and the lights settled into a steady rhythm. Said they needed to report this immediately. They left the ship and returned to the surface, where they met Colonel, the officer in charge of the operation. The colonel listened carefully as they explained what happened. He understood the importance of their discovery. Within days, the ship was transported to a hidden underground base. It took massive machines and weeks of planning to move it safely. Once inside the base, engineers began setting up equipment around it. The goal was to study it without damaging anything, and were given full access to the core chamber. They worked long hours listening to the hums, studying the glowing patterns, and trying to understand the alien code. The symbols did not match any human language, but noticed repeating sequences. He believed it was a kind of command system. One night while he was alone with the core, the lights reacted strongly when he spoke. He said simple words like hello, open, and yes. The lights brightened in response to some of them. The ship understood basic sound patterns. The next morning he told, and they began testing voice commands together. The ship responded slowly but clearly. If they asked it to increase light, the glow brightened. If they asked it to dim, the light faded. Laura was excited by their progress. She believed the ship used a hybrid communication system that could adapt to new languages. That meant the ship might learn from them. Adam discovered something else. When he repaired a damaged panel using human tools, the alien metal around it reacted and grew new layers over his repair. It was as if the ship accepted the help and finished the repair on its own. The team realized they were dealing with technology far beyond human understanding. The ship was built to heal itself, respond to commands, and maybe even bond with new users. But they did not know that the ship had sent a signal into space when it first activated. Far away, that signal traveled across dark space until it reached a small Dominion scout vessel. The Dominion was a ruthless empire that destroyed worlds they could not control. They recognized the signal. It came from a ship they thought lost centuries ago. The Dominion captain sent a message to his leadership, reporting the discovery. They decided to send a fleet to retrieve the ship before the humans unlocked its secrets. Back on Earth, the team continued their work unaware of the danger approaching. They were focused on understanding the ship's systems. One day, while studying the navigation room, Laura found a hidden console behind a cracked wall. She called and, together, they powered the console. A hologram appeared above it. The image showed stars and planets, many of which did not match human maps. It was a chart of a distant galaxy. Noted the heavy markings around several planets. She guessed those were battle sites. The ship had once fought in massive wars. Adam found a message stored inside the navigation records. It was fragmented and damaged, but they could see part of it. An alien commander appeared, badly injured. He spoke in a language they could not understand, but the expression on his face showed fear and urgency. Jason pointed out that the alien seemed to be warning someone. Maybe the original crew knew danger was coming and tried to leave a message. The team played the fragment repeatedly, trying to learn more. Though they did not understand the words yet, they felt the importance of the message. The ship was not just a relic. It carried a story of destruction and hope. Days turned into weeks. The team and hundreds of engineers worked around the clock. They slowly rebuilt the ship. Damaged sections were replaced with human-built parts. The alien metal fused with human metal in ways no one expected. It created new structures, stronger than both materials. The ship began to look whole again. Its wings extended, its engines brightened, and its main hull regained shape. By the end of the month, the ship no longer looked broken. It looked reborn. Often stood in the chamber at night, listening to the hum of the core. He felt a strange connection to it, like the ship trusted him, felt something similar. She believed the ship recognized their efforts. The team was proud but also nervous. They still did not know why the alien commander had recorded a warning. They did not know who destroyed his people or why the ship had crashed on Earth. For now, they only knew one thing. Their work was not just science, it was preparation. They were rebuilding something powerful, something important. And somewhere in deep space, an enemy was already on its way. The work on the alien ship continued day and night as weeks passed. The underground base was always busy. Engineers walked through the halls with tools in their hands. Scientists carried tablets filled with data they still did not fully understand. The air felt heavy with tension and excitement. Everyone knew they were doing something no human had ever done before. Clark woke early every morning. He often stood beside the alien core, listening to its soft hum. It reminded him of a quiet heartbeat. He felt the ship was slowly waking up more each day. Barnes joined him soon after. Together, they checked the readings on the glowing panels. Every day, the light patterns changed slightly, like the ship was learning from them. Adam Carter and Laura Hill worked on the energy systems. Adam repaired broken lines while Laura studied the strange shapes inside the power channels. They discovered that the energy source was not nuclear or chemical. It was something far more advanced, a mix of light and matter that humans did not fully understand. But somehow, the ship made it simple for them. If they inserted human-made parts into the broken systems, the alien metal adapted and shaped itself around them. Jason Brooks trained small squads of soldiers who would one day operate inside the ship. They practiced navigation, emergency repairs, and defense drills. Jason believed the ship was not just a scientific find. It would soon be a tool of protection. During a late evening, and noticed that the ship responded faster than before. When touched a panel, the blue lines brightened immediately. When issued a voice command, the light moved smoothly across the walls. Laura pointed out that the ship seemed to be forming a bond with them. She said it was reacting like a living organism. The others agreed. The ship wanted to help them, but none of them knew why. The next major discovery came from Laura. She was working near a cracked section of the navigation room when she noticed a strange, hidden mark. When she pressed it, the wall opened slightly. Inside, she found a small metal sphere that pulsed with faint light. She brought it to and, when the sphere was placed near the core, the ship reacted immediately. A hologram flickered to life above the sphere. An alien figure appeared, tall and thin, with deep lines across his face. His eyes looked tired and sad. He spoke in a rough, broken voice. The language was unknown, but the emotion was clear. The alien was wounded. He struggled to breathe. He pointed to a star map behind him. Several planets were marked in red. Explosions flashed across the projection. The team watched in silence. The alien commander made a final gesture, placing his hand on his chest, then on the ship's console. His expression was one of hope mixed with fear. Then the hologram ended. Felt chills across her skin. She said the alien was trying to warn whoever found the ship. The red markings probably showed the path of destruction. Laura believed the aliens' people were wiped out by a powerful enemy. Adam wondered if the enemy still existed. None of them knew that the answer was yes. Far beyond Earth, the Dominion fleet was already moving. The scout ship that received the old beacon had informed its commanders. The Dominion remembered the lost ship. They believed it held powerful technology once used against them. They wanted it back. They wanted to erase all traces of it. A fleet of Dominion warships began traveling toward the solar system, hidden in the darkness of deep space. Back on Earth, the human team returned to their work. They focused on making the ship fully functional. Now that they understood some of the alien systems, progress increased. They strengthened the wings with reinforced human alloy. The alien metal accepted the new parts and reshaped itself around them, creating a stronger structure. They rebuilt the engines using a mix of human fuel systems and alien energy converters. When the engines activated for the first time, the ground shook lightly. The sound was deep and powerful. The team gathered around, watching in awe as bright blue streams of energy flowed through the engine lines. Jason said it felt like they were bringing a giant back to life. Smiled and said the ship had been waiting a long time for this. As more systems came online, the ship revealed more of its secrets, discovered a layer of code that was different from the others. It was not part of the navigation or weapons. It seemed like a personality layer, a system that allowed the ship to understand its crew. She believed the alien builders designed the ship to partner with its pilots, not just respond to commands. Adam joked that the ship was smarter than all of them combined. One day, while working in the communication room, heard a soft chime. The alien screens lit up with strange symbols. Then they rearranged themselves into a message the humans could interpret. The message said that a new signal had been detected in space, a distant trace, weak but not natural. Studied the reading. Her face turned pale. She said the signal was coming from beyond the solar system. It matched the signature of an unknown fleet. Adam asked if it was friendly. Slowly shook her head. She could not explain why, but she felt it was not a good sign. Colonel was informed. He ordered the team to continue working faster. He believed the ship needed to be operational as soon as possible. If something was coming, humanity would need this ship. The next weeks were intense. The entire base moved with urgency. Engineers upgraded weapon systems, although most of the weapons were still alien in design. Adam led the tests, making sure the ship's cannons responded correctly. Powerful bursts of energy flashed across the test chambers, leaving everyone stunned by their destructive force. The ship was far more advanced than anything humans had seen. Jason trained more crew members. They practiced takeoff procedures, safety protocols, and emergency combat drills. He knew they would need a skilled team ready to fly at any moment. Despite the pressure, the team grew closer, and often shared quiet discussions about the ship, wondering what the alien commander hoped to achieve when he left the warning. Laura spent long nights studying the alien symbols, trying to decode more information from the navigation records. Adam made careful upgrades to the ship's hull, mixing advanced human armor with alien metal. Each improvement seemed to make the ship stronger than before. Everyone felt they were racing against time. One evening, while the team was reviewing progress, the ship suddenly pulsed with bright blue light. The core hummed louder and the walls glowed with flowing patterns. The team gathered around the core chamber, unsure of what was happening. The light spread through the ship, moving like waves, stepped forward cautiously. The ship projected a new hologram above the core. This one was not a recording. It was a message directly from the ship. It showed the path of the incoming signal. Dozens of objects were moving toward Earth. The speed was high, too high to be anything human. Everyone stared at the projection. No one spoke. Jason finally broke the silence. He said the enemy was coming. The ship showed a final part of the message, a symbol that none of them had seen before. It glowed bright and sharp. Laura studied it and realized it meant danger. Told the crew that they needed to finish the ship, not in months but now. They no longer had the luxury of time. The next days were the hardest. The whole base worked without rest. Adam installed the last of the weapon systems. Jason completed training with the first official crew. Laura decoded more of the navigation files and found safe routes out of the solar system, improved the communication link between humans and the ship. Prepared the command center. He learned how to read the ship's displays and control the core's energy flow. Slowly the alien ship became whole again. The wings were strong, the engines were powerful, the weapons were ready. Humans had taken a broken relic and reforged it into something new. On the final night before the test flight, walked alone through the corridors. The glow from the walls followed his steps, almost like the ship was watching him. He placed his hand on the core. He whispered that they would protect Earth, no matter what came. The core glowed softly, as if it understood. Outside, far beyond human sight, the Dominion fleet continued its approach. They were ready for war. And soon humanity would be too. The alarm lights flashed across the underground base as the readings from space grew stronger. The unknown fleet was no longer a distant signal. It was now close to the edge of the solar system. Everyone in the base moved fast. Engineers hurried across the floors, soldiers prepared equipment, and scientists watched the monitors with wide eyes. They all knew the moment they feared was finally here. Clark stood inside the command center of the rebuilt alien ship. He took a deep breath while looking at the glowing panels around him. The ship felt more alive than ever. Its soft hum filled the room with steady energy. It almost seemed calm, as if ready for what was coming. Barnes entered the room with a tablet in her hands. She reported that the sensors were detecting at least 20 large ships and many smaller ones. She said the enemy fleet was moving fast toward Earth. Nodded. They both knew they had only one option now. They had to launch. Laura Hill arrived next, carrying updated navigation charts. She had plotted safe paths around the debris near the edge of the atmosphere. She said the ship could leave the planet smoothly, but once in space, they would be on their own. Adam Carter soon joined them and checked the weapon systems. He said the cannons were fully powered and ready. Jason Brooks gathered his team of trained soldiers and secured the lower deck. The crew looked tired but determined. They had trained for this moment. Now they would find out if all their hard work was enough. When Colonel gave the final order to launch, the base shook slightly as the alien ship powered up. Bright blue energy flowed through the wings and engines. The ship lifted slowly from the ground, rising into the air with surprising grace for something so large. Everyone inside felt the ship respond to their presence. It adjusted its balance, warmed its systems, and guided itself upward. The walls glowed softly, as if encouraging the crew. Laura focused on the flight path ahead. Adam watched the weapon readouts carefully. Jason prepared his defense team for any surprise attacks, monitored the core, watching the flow of energy, stood at the center, guiding the ship with calm, steady commands. As they rose above the desert and into the sky, the windows showed the Earth growing smaller. Clouds passed below them. The blue curve of the atmosphere appeared. Then, with a final push from the engines, the ship entered space. Silence surrounded them. Stars stretched in every direction. The Earth glowed behind them like a blue jewel. None of them had time to admire the view. Alarms blinked. The enemy fleet had detected them. Ordered the ship to move forward. The alien engines responded instantly. The ship accelerated with smooth, powerful motion. The enemy ships approached from the left side of the solar system. Announced that the enemy fleet was spreading out. They were trying to surround the humans. Adam prepared the cannons. He said they should strike first before the enemy got closer. When the first Dominion ships appeared as small glowing dots on the screen, everyone held their breath. The enemy ships soon grew larger. They looked sharp and metallic, with red lights running across their dark hulls. Their movements were fast and organized. For a moment, the two forces faced each other in silence. Then a message flashed across the alien screens. It was a demand from the Dominion fleet. They told the humans to surrender the ship. They said the ship belonged to them and must be returned. They warned that Earth would suffer if the humans refused. Looked around at his crew. He saw fear in their eyes, but also courage. He stepped forward and gave a clear answer. He said no. The Dominion ships attacked immediately. Bright beams of red energy shot toward the human ship. The alien vessel reacted fast. Shields formed instantly around it, glowing blue and white. The attacks hit the shield and spread like ripples across water. Reported that the shield held strong, ordered the ship to move and counterattack. The engines pushed forward. Adam fired the cannons. Bright blue bursts of energy shot across space and hit the first enemy ships. 2 Dominion fighters exploded into bright fire. But there were many more. Jason and his team braced themselves as enemy shots rattled the shields. Laura guided the ship between enemy lines. Her hands moved quickly across the navigation panels. The ship understood her directions and changed course smoothly. The battle grew intense. Enemy ships surrounded them from all sides. Red beams lit up the darkness. Adam fired again and again, hitting targets while trying to protect the crew, monitored the core as it pushed more energy into the shields. The ship began to show something new. It adapted in real time. When enemy beams hit the shields, the alien metal shifted slightly, strengthening the weak spots. When the enemy tried to hack into the communication systems, the ship blocked them automatically. The more the crew worked together, the more the ship responded. It flowed like a living partner. One enemy cruiser moved in close. It tried to ram them. Jason and his team rushed to the lower deck. The enemy ship's hull scraped against theirs. The metal bent and cracked. Jason ordered his team to prepare for boarding. The enemy forced open a small gap and tried to enter. Jason met them with his team. The enemy soldiers were tall, armored, and fast. Jason fought with everything he had. His team pushed back, using stun weapons and shields. After a tough struggle, they drove the enemy soldiers out and sealed the gap. Jason contacted and said the lower deck was secured, thanked him and told him to be ready for another attempt. The battle continued. Laura guided the ship through narrow paths between enemy lines. Adam fired the cannons, hitting enemy cruisers, worked with the core, adjusting the energy flow to help the ship recover faster. But then something unexpected happened. The enemy stopped attacking. Their ships pulled back slightly. Asked for a scan, checked the readings. She said the Dominion fleet was changing formation. They were preparing to launch a stronger attack. Then the largest enemy ship moved forward. It was huge, far bigger than the others. Its red lights glowed like burning eyes. Laura whispered that it must be the Dominion command ship. Suddenly, a message flashed again. This time, it was an image of the Dominion commander. His face was sharp and cold. He said the humans were foolish. He said the ship belonged to the Dominion and that the humans should never have touched it. Responded calmly. He said the ship was now part of humanity, and humanity would fight for it. The Dominion commander stared with anger. Then he ended the message. A moment later, the enemy launched a massive attack. Red beams hit the shields with great force. The ship shook violently. Alarms sounded everywhere, shouted that the shields were dropping. Laura steered the ship away from the main attack, but the enemy pressed forward. Adam fired the cannons at full power, destroying several enemy ships, but more kept coming. Felt the ship struggling. He placed his hand on the main console. He asked the ship for more power. The core responded with a burst of bright light. The shields grew stronger. The ship steadied itself. Ordered a counterattack. Adam targeted the command ship. The cannons fired again and again, hitting its armor. But the command ship was strong. Its shields absorbed most of the damage. The battle reached a breaking point. The Dominion fleet pushed harder. The human ship fought with everything it had. The darkness of space flashed with explosions and energy beams. Then the Dominion commander realized something shocking. He saw how fast the ship reacted to the human crew. He saw how the ship grew stronger in their hands. He saw that the humans were unlocking abilities even the original builders could not. Fear flickered across his face. He ordered his fleet to retreat. The Dominion ships pulled back quickly. The humans watched with confusion as the enemy fled. Said they were calling for reinforcements, much larger reinforcements. Knew the truth. The first battle was over, but the real war had not even begun. He looked at his crew. They were exhausted, bruised, and shaken, but they were alive, and they had won their first fight. Laura said they needed repairs. Adam agreed. Jason said the defense team was ready for whatever came next. The ship glowed softly around them, almost like a quiet promise. They would return to Earth. They would prepare. They would grow stronger. Because the Dominion would be back. And next time, the battle would shake the whole galaxy. The journey back to Earth was quiet. The alien ship moved smoothly through space, glowing with soft blue light. Inside, the crew sat at their stations, tired but alert. The battle had changed all of them. They had seen the strength of the Dominion. They had felt the fear of fighting a force far larger than anything humans had known. But they had also seen something else. They had seen hope. Clark stood near the main console, watching the stars drift past. He thought about the battle. He thought about the moment the Dominion commander pulled back. He knew the retreat was not a sign of weakness. It was a warning. The Dominion had seen the power of the ship in human hands. They would return with a much larger force. Barnes walked to his side. She said the core was stable but strained. She believed the ship needed time to heal. The alien metal had changed during the battle. It had shifted into stronger patterns but also used much of its inner energy. Thanked her and told her they would give the ship all the time it needed, but he knew time was the one thing they had very little of. Laura Hill studied the navigation charts. She pointed out that the Dominion retreat path matched the direction of deep space where signals had once been detected. She believed the Dominion home fleet was far larger than what they had seen. Jason Brooks arrived and listened quietly. He said they needed to prepare Earth before the Dominion returned. Adam Carter checked the weapon systems during the flight. He saw that some of the cannons were damaged. He also noticed that the alien metal had reinforced some areas on its own. This made him think that the ship was starting to adapt faster than before, maybe even smarter. When the ship approached Earth, control centers around the planet sent urgent messages. The entire world had seen flashes in the sky during the battle and picked up strange signals. Countries were worried and demanded answers. Colonel met the crew on arrival. He listened to their report with a serious expression. After the meeting, the government declared global emergency preparations. The Dominion threat was now real to everyone. Humans across the world began working together. Nations shared technology. Factories switched to building defense units. New training centers opened. Earth had never united this much in history. The alien ship, now fully accepted by the world, became the heart of a new defense fleet. Engineers and scientists from all nations arrived at the underground base. They studied the ship's design. They learned how the alien metal reacted to human materials. They tried to build new ships using the same method. For the first time, humanity was not just surviving. They were evolving. And spent long hours with the core. They tried to understand how the ship responded to danger. Laura worked with scientists to decode the rest of the star maps. She found more symbols showing worlds destroyed by the Dominion. Adam trained new teams to operate the weapon systems. Jason trained soldiers who would serve on the ship during the coming war. Days passed, repairs continued, Earth prepared. One night the ship pulsed with sudden bright light, rushed to the core room. She saw the light forming new patterns. She called Laura, Adam, and Jason. When they arrived, the ship projected a new message into the air. It showed the solar system. Then it showed a massive fleet approaching from deep space. The number of ships was far greater than before. The Dominion was returning. Knew they could not wait for the Dominion to reach Earth. They had to meet them in space. Colonel agreed. He gave full authority for the crew to launch the ship again. This time, they would not fight alone. Dozens of human-built ships were ready to follow. On the day of launch, the underground base was filled with people watching in silence. The alien ship rose again, glowing brighter than before. Its wings spread wide. Its engines hummed with calm strength. The humans followed in their new vessels. They formed the first united Earth fleet. As they left Earth behind, the crew felt the weight of history on their shoulders. They knew the battle ahead would decide the future of humanity. When they reached Mars orbit, they saw the Dominion fleet entering the solar system. The enemy ships stretched across the darkness like a wall of steel and fire. Their lights burned red. Their engines roared like thunder. Gave the order to hold position. He wanted to see how the Dominion would move. The enemy fleet advanced slowly. Then the Dominion commander appeared on the communication screen. His voice was cold. He said humanity had made a terrible mistake. He said the ship belonged to the Dominion and must be returned. He said Earth would be crushed. answered calmly. He said Earth would not surrender. He said the ship no longer belonged to the Dominion. It belonged to the ones willing to protect it. The Dominion commander laughed in anger. Then the message ended. The battle began. Red beams fired across space. Explosions lit the darkness. Human ships formed tight formations. Adam fired the cannons of the alien ship, hitting enemy cruisers. Laura guided their vessel between the fire. Jason stood ready for any boarding attempts, pushed more power into the shields. The battle was harder than any before. Human ships were brave but less advanced. Many were destroyed. Some tried to ram enemy ships. Some protected the alien ship with their last breath. The Dominion command ship targeted the alien vessel. Its massive beams hit the shields. The ship shook. Alarms screamed, shouted that the shields would not hold much longer. Laura tried to steer away, but the enemy kept the pressure. Placed his hand on the core. He spoke softly, asking for help. The core glowed brighter. The ship responded. New patterns spread across the walls. The engines roared. The shields grew stronger. The ship moved faster. But the Dominion flagship was still too powerful. Then remembered the hidden drive. The alien commander in the recording had mentioned a last resort. She quickly accessed the memory core. She found the code. She activated it. The ship reacted instantly. Light filled the chamber. Energy surged through the hull. The ship rose above the battlefield, glowing like a star. Adam warned that the energy was rising too fast, said they had no choice. They aimed at the Dominion flagship. The hidden drive activated. A shockwave of pure energy burst from the ship. It spread out like a giant wave. It struck the Dominion flagship with enormous force. The flagship cracked open and exploded into pieces. The shockwave hit the other Dominion ships. Their engines failed. Their hulls shattered. The entire Dominion fleet began to fall apart. The battlefield fell silent, except for scattered debris drifting through space. Collapsed to her knees, she said the ship had used nearly all of its stored energy. The core dimmed but stayed stable. The danger was over. The Dominion survivors fled. They disappeared back into deep space. Looked at his crew. He felt relief wash over him. Laura wiped tears from her eyes. Adam sat back, exhausted. Jason let out a long breath, rested her hand on the core. They had done it. They had defended Earth. They had defeated the Dominion. The human fleet cheered. Messages from Earth came in, filled with joy and pride. As they returned home, the alien ship glowed with soft, warm light. Humanity had not only survived, they had risen to new strength. And the wreck once left for scrap had become the ship that saved the galaxy. This was only the beginning of humanity's place among the stars.